Okay. Well, very good morning, guys. Fine. So last day we just been completed up our discussion about parameters and how to use the parameters in our methods, right? I shown you each and every option for you, like where you can just use and all the things. Various different kinds of parameters, what can be used. All the various options I demonstrated to you in the previous class about the parameters. Everyone is clear with all the things? Params keyword, input parameters, output parameters, in-out parameters. Okay, so we learned about the params keyword. Also, we learned apart from that, default valued parameters. Lot of things have just been demonstrated for you in the previous session. Clear? Okay, and I said you, array tomorrow when you start working in the real time, every method what you have should come under this particular only. There is no chance of anything coming out of this. Everything should be from the list what I have explained to you. So there is no chance like anything having out of the scope now. Okay, fine. Now, in this process, guys, we have learned about the various different types of methods and how to define the methods in our code. Okay, so listen in. Actually, when you're defining methods, to call these methods, what you done, you created the instance of your class, right? Yes or not? I already explained you how to create the instance of a class. I already demonstrated you how to create instance of your particular class. How to create class instances is what we have already learned. Okay, now look at this, all of you. When you guys are creating the instance of a class, how do they create? Yeah, if at all you observe, there's a class here called method parameters. For that class, I created the instance. How do they create method parameters? Obj is equals to new method parameters. Okay, so obj. What is obj? Obj is the name of the instance. Obj is the name of the instance. And there, method parameters is the name of the class. And then we just said is equals to new. What is new? New is a keyword, guys. New is a keyword. And this keyword is mandatory for creating the instance of a class. This keyword is mandatory for creating the instance of a class. So can't we create the instance of a class without using that new keyword? No chance. You cannot create the instance of any class. You cannot create the instance of any class without using new keyword. Are you guys clear? If you want to create an instance, what is mandatory? New keyword is mandatory. So without a new keyword, is it not possible to create the instance? Not possible to create the instance. Instance creation can be done only with the help of new. Okay, now, so when I use new keyword only, we call that as an instance also. Without using a new keyword, we cannot call anything as a instance. So instance creation requires what? New keyword for sure. No new keyword and not possible to create the instance. Are you clearer or not? And also I talked about this one. Do you remember declaration, initialization? When I just been explained you the first day about creating an instance, I explained you about declaration and initialization. What is that? If at all you just write the new on the next line, that is called as separating the declaration from initialization. We can separate declaration from initialization. How do we do that? We just simply go for writing. First we say program P on one line. In the next line we say P is equals to new program. I showed you already the declaration initialization and separating the declaration from the initialization. That's your choice, guys, how you write it. That you can separate them and you can just write them separately. Okay. So today I wanted to tell you a little bit more on the concept of the instance creations. I want to demonstrate a bit more on the concept of the instances, instance creations and all the things, what happens and everything. To demonstrate this, guys, look. Is the screen not visible, guys? Is my screen visible, all of you? Visible, no? Someone telling screen not visible. That's your problem. Yeah, disconnect and connect once. If at all you have a visibility problem, once disconnect and connect. Okay. Look, all of you. In the project, to demonstrate all these things, I'm adding a class first. I'm adding a class here. And let me name this class as first.cs. First.cs. Yeah, watch. Here, I'm trying to, I'm just trying to declare one field here in public int x is equals to 100. If I don't use public, remember the default scope for all the members of a class is louder private. Class internal. Class is internal, guys, is accessible within the project, and members are private, accessible only within the class. But I said public now. Because I used public here, is it accessible only within the class or out of the class also? Accessible out of the class also. Default is private, but now you made public. Because it is made public, it is accessible in the class and it is accessible out of the class also. Anyway, you can just access this. Okay, now? Fine. Now, writing here static void main. And now I want to create the instance of the class. First, some name f is equals to new first. First f is equals to new first. And then I'm writing console.writeline f.x. Console.writeline f.x. Console.readline. Nothing there, guys. You created the instance. Afterwards, we called f.x. Directly can't I print the x value as console.writeline x? Can't I directly print the x value console.writeline x? Come on, yaar, open the mouth. What do you have in the mouth? Speak out. Possible or not possible? Let's try. Error, guys. It's not possible. Why not possible? Listen. Every member of a class, if it is non-static, can be accessed from the main method only by using instance of the class. Is the point clear? I repeat, every member of the class, if it is non-static, can be accessed from main method only by using instance of the class. Why, sir? Why do I require instance? Because without instance creation, memory is not allocated for the x. Without instance creation, memory is not allocated for the x. See, right now, this x is not initialized at all, guys. The x is not initialized. When is it initialized? It is initialized after I create the instance. First, f is equals to new first. It is initialized. This is going to initialize now. So the initialization depends upon the instance creation. So when I create the instance here, at that particular point of time only, the initialization will be done like this. The memory allocation is associated with instance creation. If instance is created only, memory is allocated. If instance is not created, memory is not allocated. Okay, now, so that is what exactly happens in this case. So now allocated. Now I can access it. How to access? F dot X. I'll be having it out. Sir, when I create an instance, is the memory allocated? Yes, allocated. Why to call F dot X? Directly can't I call X? You're talking about memory allocation. Okay, instance created, memory allocated. When the memory is allocated, what is the point of again calling F dot X? Why can't we call directly as X? Did you understand the question? Yes or not? Remember, I'll answer this particular question. The question is, you created instance. F is the name of the instance. Memory allocated or not? Allocated or not? Then again, why should I call F dot X? Why can't I directly call X? Got the question? Huh? Why can't I directly call X? Why should I call F dot X? I'll answer you. Remember this particular question. I'll just give you an answer. I'll show you practically. Why can't I directly call X and why should I call F dot X only? If I again say X, then also it is error only. Error. So how to call? F dot X. It's just executing. Hold on. Yeah, got it. I called it F dot X, and when I call F dot X, it is printing me the value. When I call F dot X, it is directly printing me the value. The value is printed for you on screen. Okay, now, so this is what happens to you. Created an instance and just going to print you or call F dot X and print the output on the monitor. Okay, so what is the first point you try to understand here? Say, the first thing what you require to understand is write this times. Write this. Every member of a class, if it is, can be accessed from the main method only by using instance of that class. So in the above case, to print the value of X, we created instance of class first under main method. Point number two. Just a minute. I did not still explain about that. So are you guys clear? Clear about instance creation? When you created an instance, this is how the memory is going to be allocated. Do you remember this? I can write like this also. What is the first line? Declaration. Second line, you can write both these two in a single line. First, we written both in a single line. That is declaration, initialization in one line. First F is equals to new first. Now we are writing first F in one statement and F is equals to new first in another statement. So first line contains declaration, second line contains initialization. So declaration, initialization separated for you into two separate statements. Declaration, initialization separated into two separate statements to you. Okay now? Fine. Now, all of you just understand this point. What's it? Right now, if you look at this, what is F on the first line? So first, you said first F. What is F? F is a variable of the class. F is a variable of the class. So what is F means? F is a variable of class. So now the question arises, sir, what is variable of a class? A variable of a class is a copy of a class. A variable of a class is a copy of a class which is not initialized. I repeat, guys, a variable of a class is a copy of the class which is not initialized. Means these are not initialized. It's not initialized. No memory allocation. Then on the second line, what is F? What is F on the second line? Instance of class. What is instance of a class? Instance of a class means a copy of a class which is initialized. A copy of a class which is initialized. If it is not initialized, we call it as a instance. If it is initialized, if it not initialized, we call it as a variable. If initialized, we call it as a instance. So again, understand clearly, what is a variable? A copy of a class which is not initialized. It is not initialized now. Can I call members for using it? Can I call members for using a variable? Watch. I'm commenting this line and trying to call f dot x. When you run this, see what is it telling you. Unassigned local variable f. It's a variable. Unassigned means not initialized. So variables cannot be used for invoking the members. To invoke the members, what you require is an instance. What is an instance? A copy of a class that is initialized by using new keyword. A copy of a class which is initialized by using new keyword. It is initialized by using the new keyword basically, and that's what we call as a instance. By using instance, can I call members? Yeah. Instance can be used for calling the members. So what is the difference between variable state and instance state? You know, this is the difference. First f, that's a variable. Uninitialized copy. What is the value? Null. Second line, f is equals to new first. What is that? Instance, memory allocated. Are you clear with the difference between variable and instance or not? Variable means not initialized, null, empty, nothing is there. Instance means initialized by new keyword. Don't forget that. Don't say initialized by new keyword. That's what you require to tell. Okay, can I call members? Yeah, you can call. Memory allocation is done and you can call the members. So all of you read the second and third points. Array, you can't use it for calling or accessing members here. You can't use it for calling or accessing the members. Second, next point. We can use instance for calling members. We can use instance for calling members, but we cannot use variables for calling members. But instances can be used for calling the members, but variables cannot be used for calling the members. I hope you guys are clear. Understood all of you? So this is about the instance of a class and variable of a class. Instance and variable of a class. Okay. So how to create an instance? New keyword. Don't forget. Someone asks you how to create an instance. The answer is by using new keyword. So by using a new keyword, we can just create an instance. Just to make you understand the difference between variable and instance are written separate line. But already know that we can write like this. That's only declaration. That is only initialization. Directly f is a instance now. Say you created an instance, but the same way you can kill or destroy an instance also. You can kill or destroy an instance. How do you do that? We do it by assigning null to it. We do it by assigning null to it. This is called as dereferencing. What is that? Dereferencing. We call this basically as dereferencing. So when you assign a null value like this, we basically call this as a dereferencing. Okay, what is the dereferencing? Dereferencing in the sense, look guys, F cannot access that memory anymore. The link between the F and the memory is cut off. Did you understand the picture? The link between the F and the memory is cut off. F cannot access the memory anymore. Okay, and now the memory is marked as unused. The memory is marked as unused. It is marked as unused. Okay. Say in your house, the food is, some food is prepared yesterday and today that got spoiled. What you do it in the dustbin. You throw it in the dustbin. End of the day or in the next day morning, you just throw it outside so that municipal garbage collector will municipal garbage collector van will come and take it out. Yes or not? So once the food is spoiled, first what you throw is in the dustbin. That's all. We don't put it outside because everyone starts putting everything in the day, morning or afternoon, something. The streets get spoiled. One point of time we do all this are put outside only in the early morning so that the garbage collector comes, the garbage van comes now and takes away all the garbage. Clear with the point or not? Okay. So the thing what I'm trying to tell you is when you just say F is equals to null, the link between this stuff cut off and this memory is marked as unused. Then what I'm trying to tell, it's not deallocated, it is only marked as unused, means it is thrown in the dustbin. Clear, huh? It is thrown in the dustbin, means cannot be used anymore now. After throwing the food in the dustbin, you don't eat, na? So this is also same thing. It is marked as unused. It cannot be used anymore. Sir, when is it deallocated? When is it deallocated? That's only. You put all the garbage in the dustbin. The next day morning, when the municipal garbage truck comes, the municipal garbage truck is going to take away all the garbage, correct? Same way, all these unused objects will be deallocated at some point of time by the garbage collector. By the garbage collector is our municipal garbage truck which comes and cleans away all the garbage. So garbage truck will come every day once in the morning, not for every hour or every day, sorry, every hour or every half day it doesn't come. Once it comes only once in a day, early in the morning. Correct or not? So exactly the same point only you should understand here also. What is it? All these objects when you assign null, all these objects are going to be marked as unused objects. And all these unused objects are destroyed at a time by the garbage collector, When that's not in my control, the garbage collector comes into action at some point of time and all these unused objects will be destroyed. That's a different story. We'll talk about it later about the deallocation of the memory by the garbage collector. We will discuss about it. But today our discussion is only about how to dereference an instance. And when you dereference an instance, what happens? That instance cannot access the memory anymore and the memory gets marked as unused. Now tell me, using F can I call X? Come on. Using F can I call the members? Yes or no? Why yes, yaar? You said null, no. It is unused now. You can't use it. If you try to call, you get an error. That's an error. This is invalid and runtime error. Watch. It's not a compile time error. It's a runtime error. Difference, compile time error means program won't execute. But here program executes here. In the middle of the execution, error will come. See, first f.x is valid or not? Yes or not? That will print the output, see? Printed out? Now you are getting error, see? This is called runtime error, not compile time. Compile time, no output will come here. Program will not start execution at all. Your program execution started. And in the process of execution, you got the error. That's what I say, runtime error. We just got an error. Why did we get this error? Because it is dereferenced. It is dereferenced. How did we dereference? By assigning null to it. By assigning null to it, the dereferencing process has been completed there. Are you guys clear or not? Understood about dereferencing? How do you dereference? By simply assigning null to it. By simply assigning null to it. And don't forget, once dereferencing is done, you cannot use it anymore for accessing the members. Read it. What error we get? Runtime error. Remember that one. I'm only rewriting the code in the main. Just I changed the code in the main. I did not write a separate class. I defined one class. Now I changed the code in the main to demonstrate the things to you. Read this note also, guys. is not deallocated immediately. Understand, it is not deallocated immediately. All the unused objects which are present will be deallocated at a time by the garbage collector. When the garbage collector comes into action. When garbage collector comes into action, that's not in my control. That is not in my control. That is completely under the control of CLR. Remember CLR? CLR is the execution engine of your .NET runtime. All applications will run under the monitoring of the CLR. And garbage collector is controlled by CLR. CLR will take care of the garbage collector. Any? ఇది పని చేయట్లేదు ఇందులో బ్యాటరీది Voice is fine. No, actually, I have a battery problem here. Just a minute. Just a minute, guys. Okay. So, yeah. What is the deal? Once a null is assigned, internally the memory will not be deallocated. Only what will happen? Marked as unused. And all these unused objects will be deallocated by the garbage collector whenever it comes into action. And guys, today I'm not teaching about garbage collector coming into action. That's a separate discussion we have. We'll talk about it. Today our point is only how to create an instance and how to kill an instance. We call it as dereferencing. We call it as what? Dereferencing. We are learning about dereferencing an instance. And to dereference, what you require to do? Simple assign null to it. And once you assign null, that's automatically dereferenced now. That's automatically dereferenced for you in this case now. Okay, now, are you clear? Fine. What next? The next thing is, guys, creating of multiple instances. The next thing is creating of multiple instances. What is it? Creating of multiple instances. Yes, guys. You can create multiple instances for your class. You can create multiple instances for your class. How many instances can you create? N number, guys. There is no limitation. There is no limitation. We can create any number of instances to a class. There is no limitation for the number of instances a class can be created. And remember, guys, every instance you create will be having a separate memory allocation. Every instance you create will be having a separate memory allocation. If at all you create 10 instances, you'll have 10 different memory allocation for the members. For example, how many instances are created? 2. So the 2 instances will have 2 separate memory allocations now. The 2 instances will have 2 separate memory allocation. And remember, from day one, we are talking about one point. Remember, Object-oriented programming is secured. Object-oriented programming is secured. It provides security for us. It provides what? Security for us. It provides you security and also it provides you reusability. It provides you security and also it provides you reusability. Security is available as well as reusability. Okay. Reusability already shown in the previous class here. Created the instance of the program class and test program and consumed it. Reusability. Okay. What is it? Security, you know? Instances are unique. You can create any number of instances and every instance is unique. That is, the changes that are made on the members of one instance will not reflect to second instance. The changes that are made on the members of one instance will not reflect to the second instance. Means if I make any modifications on the X of F1, if I make any modifications on the X of F1, the changes won't reflect to the X of F2 because they are two separate copies which are not at all going to be related with each other. Okay. And remember guys, 15 minutes back we raised a question. What is the question? Here we just raised a question. What's it? Instance created now. Why to call f dot x? Why can't I directly call x? Why should I call f dot x? Is a question what we raised, right? This is the answer for your question. What is that? Array, if two instances are created, how many copies of x are there here? If I call x, which x are you calling? If you call x, which x are you calling? Is it not a confusion? That is why you should call a member always prefixing the instance. That is the reason why you should call it as f dot x, not as x. Tomorrow, 2 copies of x can be there, 3 copies of x can be there, 10 copies of x can be there. Who knows? Any number of copies of x can be present. When are multiple copies of this x now, when you say dot x, what is the meaning? You are referring to that appropriate copy f dot x means you are referring to the appropriate copy of x now. So if I say f1 dot x, I'm referring to this one. If I say f2 dot x, I'm referring to this one. Or is it 2 separate copies? Yes, they're 2 separate copies, not at all related to each other. Watch. Console.writeLine f1.x plus some space plus f2.x. They are not same. They are separate. I'll prove you. Watch. f1.x is equals to 200. And now watch. The changes of f1 x did not reflect to f2 x. And you understood now? That is what security is. That is what security is. Instances are unique. Changes that are made on the members of one instance will never reflect to the members of other instance. Everything is going to be a unique separate copy. f1's x change is not reflected to f2's x. Same thing vice versa. What's it? f2.x is equals to 300 and that change won't reflect to f1. Okay now? You modified f2. The change did not reflect to f1.6. Like this you create 100 instances, 100 copies of x will be present. Every x is unique of itself and that change will not be affecting the others. Okay? And that is the security what object-oriented programming offers you. If the security is not present, what will happen? I will tell you in detail in the coming sessions. If that security means changes of one instance is reflecting to second, what will happen? If that doesn't reflect, what is the advantage? I will talk about all these particular things to you in the coming classes. Okay, we'll talk about them. Just a minute. Meanwhile, read this. Any modifications that we perform on the members of one instance will not reflect to members of other instances of the class. I have practically shown you right now here. I have practically shown you about that. Any change on one is not reflecting to the other. So everything is unique of itself. Every copy is unique of itself. The changes of one will never affect you the second now. Point clear? Yes or not? Okay. So that's how it will be. The changes of the one will not be affecting the others to you at any point of time. Okay. Fine. Just a second. Next. Just a minute. Watch this, all of you. What is F1? Instance of a class. What is F1? What is F2? Variable of the class. F2 is a variable of the class. F1 is an instance of the class and F2 is a. And using F2, can I call the members? No. Using F1, can I call the members? Yes. F2 cannot be used for calling the members because F2 is not initialized. How to initialize? F2 is equals to new first. F2 is equals to. You already remember that points now? I can initialize it like this also. I can initialize it like this also. What is that, sir? I can initialize the variable of a class with the existing instance of the same class. I can initialize the variable of a class by using an existing instance of the same class. By using an existing instance of the same class, I can initialize the variable of the same class. It's 100% possible. The instance can be initialized by like this. Point clear or not? Understood, everyone? You can initialize it like this. So what is your, okay? F2 is initialized. I'll prove you, watch. Array F2 is initialized, yeah, that's your printing the value. If it is not initialized, see, if it is not initialized here, you get error. What error? Already we saw use of uninitialized variable. Use of unassigned local variable F2. Use of unassigned local variable F2. Now I am saying is equals to F1 and now I did not get any error. F2 got initialized and the value was printed. Okay now. So again, what is F1? Instance of a class. What is F2? Variable of the class. Variable of the class. Now I initialize. What is F2? What is F2? Wrong answer. It is called as a reference of the class. It is called as a reference of the class. What is the reference of the class? Reference of the class is a copy of a class which is initialized by using an existing instance. Understand carefully. Variable. Copy of a class which is not initialized. Instance. Copy of a class which is initialized by using new keyword. Initialized by using new keyword. Reference. Copy of a class which is initialized by using an existing instance. It is initialized by using an existing instance. And remember, references will not have memory allocation. References will not have memory allocation. Now you'll be wondering, so reference doesn't have memory allocation, no reference will not have memory allocation. If reference doesn't have a memory allocation, so how is f2.x printing the value then? Array f2.x is printing the value. And what I am telling, no memory allocation at all. Without any memory allocation, how this f2 is printing the value of x now? Did you understand the question? There's a confusion now. You're telling no memory allocation, but f2.x is printing the value. It's confusing. Okay? Yes, guys. Reference will not have a memory allocation. What happens, you know? It will consume the memory of the instance that using which it was initialized. Watch the picture. Understood? What? What? Understood? Yes, sir. What means? No, sir. What you understood? F2 is consuming the memory of F1. Reference is consuming the memory of instance. Hey, you should be able to answer here. If you cannot answer now, what will you answer in interviews tomorrow? What I say, see, for the previous batch also I used to say the same thing. For the previous class students, I arranged an interview in my company. In my company only, I just arranged 5 people got selected. So I arranged an interview in my company. Okay, everyone, no one opens the mouth in the interviews. Same thing is happening with you also. I'm telling you, open up. If you don't do now, you cannot do it in the interview also. Are you clear? If you make a mistake here, I'm there to correct you. But if you make the same mistake in the interview, no one will correct you. Simply will get back to you. That's all. Do you know the answer of it? The meaning of it? A diplomatic answer. Get out from here. That is what. Are you clear? Open up here. I'm just telling to correct you. What are the mistakes you're making? You're all silently putting your faces blank, faces like this. Okay, be active first. Be enthusiastic and active and open up. If you cannot open up, you cannot answer in the interviews also tomorrow. Are you clear? Okay. Mainly, at least girls are, I'm saying girls are just opening up. Boys only 5% to 10%, that's all. Do you have anything in your mouth? Any diamonds in your mouth? If you speak, diamonds will come out. Be open up. You're not LKG kids, sir. You should be enthusiastic and energetic and a position to answer the question. By looking at that one, you should immediately answer. What does that mean? Yeah, F2 is consuming the memory of F1. See, I have a bad habit here. I just trying to control that habit. Okay, don't make it to repeat. What is that, you know? If you don't answer the questions, I'll make you stand in the classroom until the class is completed. I'm just controlling that a lot. Don't make it repeat it. If you want to stand in the classroom until the class is completed, fine. Are you clear? I'll point and make you stand in the classroom. Who is not opening the mouth? You will stand in the class until the class is completed. Put that in the mind. Okay? So come on. What is it? F2 doesn't have a memory. F2 is consuming the memory of F1. I'll prove you. Both are accessing the same memory. Watch. How? Watch it, guys. Both are accessing the same memory here. Look. F1x is equals to 100. And I'm reprinting the value. This is a proof to you. Both are accessing the same memory. Watch it. Proven or not? Earlier we got a different output now. Then both are two separate copies. The output is 200, 100. But now 200, 200. 200, 200. Why? Both are accessing the same memory. Again. Because both are accessing the same memory, changes performed on the members by using one reflects to the other automatically. You make any change to instance, reflects when you access the members to reference and vice versa. You make any changes to reference, that reflects when you access the members by using instance. So vice versa. To and fro, this particular communication will take place for you. Are you clearer or not? So what is the point to understand here? Reference doesn't have memory allocation. Reference doesn't have a memory allocation. What will happen? A reference will consume the memory that is allocated for the instance. References will only consume the memory that is allocated for the instance. So instance is allocated with memory and references will be consuming that particular memory now. That's it. That's it. What exactly happens to you? Watch. Both are accessing the same memory. Okay, now. So that's way. See? Okay, just a minute. Previous picture, watch here. This is two separate memories now. I made changes. Changes of F1 did not reflect to F2. F1 is separate copy, F2 is separate copy now. Come here. Both are same. See the picture. To and fro, you are referring to the same memory only. To and fro, you are referring to the same memory only in this particular case now. So from that up and down, you are accessing the same memory only in this particular context. Hope you guys are clear. Understood all of you? Okay. Now answer this here. Put your minds, put your common senses perfectly and just answer this question. What is this? F1, F2, both are accessing the same memory. F1, F2, both are accessing the same memory. Don't look into the notes when I was talking. Concentrate on the class. Okay. So just F1, F2 are both answering, looking the same memory. Now I'm assigning F1 is equals to null. Already explained you dereferencing. Yes or not? Dereferencing. Now can I call console.writeLine F1.x? Open this doors. So Can I call F1 dot X? No. Why? Why? Because we assign null and F1 cannot access the memory anymore. F1 cannot access the memory anymore. F1 dot X is invalid now. Clearer, huh? Now, guys, if you just observe this, I get an error. I get an error. I'm just going to get an error. Can I call F2 dot X? No, because F1 and F2 both are accessing the. You are wrong. You did not understand the concept first. F2 dot X is accessible. Why? Ray, that's why I said you use your common sense and answer. Is the memory deallocated? Huh? Tell me. Then why are you telling your F2 dot X is invalid? Is the memory not deallocated? Huh? What did I show? If I assign null, F1 cannot access the memory. That is what I said you now. Then what is problem for F2 here? What is problem for F2? That's why I clearly explained you. Memory is not deallocated. That's why I said memory is not deallocated. What will happen? That cannot access the memory. That's all. F2 doesn't have any problem. F2 can still access the memory. Is the point clearer or not? F2 doesn't have any problem. F2 can still access the memory. F2.x is valid. It is a valid statement. You can call F2.x and you can print the value of it. Is it clear, all of you? So when when one memory can have one instance only. One memory can have one instance only, but n number of references. N number of references. And if null is assigned to any one of them, that cannot access the memory, but there's no problem for the others to access the memory. Others can access the memory as it is. So coming back, this is valid. This is valid. And what about this? Sorry, F1.x. Now what about this? This is invalid and a runtime error. Invalid and that's already a runtime error. I explained you what is runtime error, remember? See now, when I run that, F2.x will print the output to you. Watch. After printing the output, you got the error. See, F2.x printed you. Error came at F16. Is it clear, all of you? Yes or not? Now, can you tell me the differences between the three now? Instance, variable, instance, reference. Variable. Copy of a class which is not initialized. Copy of a class which is not initialized. It's not initialized. Next, instance. Copy of a class which is initialized by using new. You're again forgetting that. I said you that only. Don't forget that. Copy of a class which is initialized by using new keyword. Reference. Copy of a class which is initialized by using existing instance. If you simply say copy of a class which is initialized, that can be instance, that can be reference also. That's why I'm telling you, be clear. Copy of a class which is initialized by using new keyword is instance. Copy of a class which is initialized by using existing instance is a reference. Instance and reference will behave in the same way. Both can be used for calling the members. Instance and reference will behave in the same way, which can be used for calling the members. But what about variable? Variables can never be used for calling the members. Instances can be used for calling the members. References also can be used for calling the members. Understood or not? Okay. Read this once. We cannot call any members of that class. Not possible. Okay, next. We can call members by using this one. We can call members by using this third. Are you clear? Yes or not? So this is a copy of class which is initialized by using any existing instance, and it works same as an instance. And by using the reference also we can call the members. Instances and references will behave in the same way here. But instances are created by using new keyword and references are created by using existing instance. If it is a new keyword, then it is a, if you use a new keyword, then it is an instance. If you use an existing instance, that is a reference. That's it. Okay, now listen here. If I ask a question, what happens when we create the instance of a class? What happens when we create the instance of a class? Yes, what happens? Memory is allocated. Already we discussed like memory is allocated, guys. When you create the instance of a class, what happens? Memory is allocated. It is going to allocate the memory for you in this case now. When we change value of f1.x and f2 gets changed, f2 is not getting changed here. What's the picture? Both are accessing the same memory. You modified f1's x. What is value? 200. When you call f2.x, 200 will come now. Yes or not? But here, what are you doing? You're changing the value. You're changing the value. You are cutting the link between the two. When you cut the link between the two, why will f2 have a problem here? Simple. See, I'm showing the see, if I demonstrate something, maybe it may not be understood very clearly. That's why I'm drawing pictures and showing you. Array, this is what's happening. Now also, if you don't understand, I can't help you. What is happening? See, F1 cannot access the memory. That's all. What is the problem for F1 now? F2 now? F2 has an access to the memory. Are you clearer or not? Say you and one of your friends are working in a company. Okay, every day, both of you get lunchbox from your home. So you share and eat. You share and eat the food. One person was removed by the one person for some reason. Company has removed him. You are also terminated. Huh? Tell me. He was terminated, you are terminated. Huh? No. So F1 is equals to now, the problem is only for F1, but not a problem for F2. F2 has access to the memory. Okay. See, both are sharing the same food doesn't mean that both of you sharing the same food doesn't mean that if one person resigns, the second person also should resign. What the point? Yes, members miss, I already listed you. Members miss 8 things I listed you already. What are the 8 things? Fields, not variables, fields, methods, constructors, properties, indexers. One by one, I'm just telling you here. I start fields already completed, and now we finish the discussion about methods also. One by one member, I'm telling you. Okay. So members means all the 8 will come. Today, we know only about 2 members. What are the 2 members? Fields, methods. But one by one member, I'll add you into the list. Okay. Fine. Okay, yeah. Now coming back, yeah, what I'm telling you, what happens when we create the instance of a class? What happens when the instance, memory allocated, already we saw that memory is getting allocated. Guys, when you create the instance of a class, internally, 3 actions are performed. Not only allocating the memory, 3 actions are performed. What are the 3 actions that are performed? Okay, so all of you, read this. Reads the classes to identify their members. Instance creation will allocate memory, right? How much memory should be allocated? Depends on the contents of the class. Depends on the contents of the class. What are the contents of the class? Based on that, the memory should be allocated, correct or not? So first it has to know what is present in the class now. So what it will do, reads the classes, identify their members. Reads the classes to identify their members. See, in your home, there is a cook. There is a cook, newly appointed. They only came now. He is just going to start cooking the food for you. Okay. So first, if at all he has to cook the food, first he has to know who are the members of the family. Without telling anything, cook food means for how many people will you cook now? Correct or not? You should clearly tell him what is it, how many kids are there, how many elder persons are there, and how many older persons are there. Yes or not? Okay, so that's what. So based on that, he will start preparing the food now. Based on that, he will start preparing the food now. So here also, to look at the memory, first the class should know what are the members of the class. So first it will read the classes and identify the members. What will identify? Fields of the classes, methods of the classes, constructors of the classes, properties of the classes, indexers of the classes, events of the classes, deconstructors of the classes. Every member of the class is going to be first identified. Clear or not? Okay, that is the first step. Understood the first one? Look at the last one. Allocates the memory. Allocates the memory that is required. See, once you know the members of the family, you can start cooking the food now. And that is the last step. First thing is to identify. Last one is to cook the food. What is the second point? What is the second one here? In the second one, you are required to procure the resources here to cook the food. You are required to procure resources first now, vegetables and everything you are required to procure now. Okay. So the second step is, what is the second step? Invoke the constructors of all those classes. I did not talk about this one. 1 and 3 are clear. Tell me, 1 and 3 are clear or not? What is the second one? Invokes the constructors of all those classes. Invokes the constructors of all those classes. Now, what is this invoking the constructor? If you want to understand about invoking a constructor, first you should understand what is a constructor. What is a constructor? And remember guys, constructor is the third member of the class. Constructor is the third member of the class. First member is fields, second member methods, third member is constructor. Constructor is the third member of the class. So today, let's learn about a constructor. This is also a member of the class. This is also a member of the class responsible for initializing the fields of a class. So this is also a member of the class responsible for initializing the fields of a class. So what is the responsibility? Initializes the fields of a class. What is that? I'll tell you. Hold on. Okay. Sir, if it is a member, it requires a name now. Okay, now? Just a minute. Just a second. Constructor is a special method which is responsible for initializing the fields of class. Which is responsible for initializing the fields of class. Okay. So fields of a class is it is going to initialize. Okay. So constructor is a special method which special method under the class which is responsible for initializing the fields of the class. What next? Sir, you are telling it is a method. If it is a method, it requires a name now. Or if it is a method, it requires a name now. Are you clearer or not? The name of constructor method is exactly the same name of the class. It is exactly the same name of the class. Whatever is the name of your class, constructor name also will be same name. If your class name is first, constructor name is also first. If your class name is second, constructor name is also second. Okay, now? So name of the constructor is exactly the same name of the class, and moreover, It's a non-value returning method, guys. It is a non-value returning method. What is that? It doesn't return any value. It is a non-value returning method. So the name of constructor method is exactly the same name of the class, and moreover, it is a non-value returning method. Next, without a constructor, without a constructor in the class, without a constructor in the class, we cannot create without a constructor in the class, we cannot create the instance of any class. We cannot create the instance of any class. Any class instance cannot be created until and unless the constructor present in the class. Now, the last point will be confusing us now. It will be distracting us and confusing. Why? Because till now, we defined so many classes. How many classes we define? Open the Solution Explorer and check it out. How many classes we define? Wrong answer. We also defined a class called EMP na. We also created a class called EMP na. But that's not showing here, right? Because we defined two classes in one file. User defined types and EMP both are defined in one file only. If you want to know the exact count, expand the file, then it will show you the classes that are defined in the file. Now count. Are you clear? If you expand the file, that will show you the contents of the file. What are the classes? If you expand the class, it will show you members of the class also. Watch it. Got it? It will show you the members of the class also. It won't show you logic there. Logic you will see only in the document window. This only shows you the contents. File. Under file, how many classes are there? Under class, how many members are there? Everything you can just have a clear picture here. Okay, now. So how many classes are there? 8 classes are there. Till now, we defined 8 classes in the project. And we are able to create the instance of all the 8 classes. We are able to create the instances of all the 8 classes. Yes, guys, all the 8 class instances we are able to create. Okay. And remember here, we don't know anything, we did not define anything called constructor at all. We did not define anything called as a constructor. And suddenly you are telling no constructor, no instance creation. Did you get the point or not? Till now we defined 8 classes, created the instance of all the 8 classes, did not define anything called as constructor. We are successfully able to create the instance of all the 8 classes. And suddenly you are coming now and telling, array, no constructor, no instance creation now. How, sir? How is this? How can I take this point valid? How can I take this point valid? Because I am able to create an instance even though the constructor is not present in the classes. Understood my point, all of you? Yes or not? Sir, how this point is true? Okay, let me answer. Yes, that point is true, guys. That point is 100% true. If this point is 100% true, how are we able to create the instance of the 8 classes till now? Okay, listen. Constructor is mandatory for creating the instance of any class. So it is the responsibility of the developer to define a constructor under his class. Whose responsibility? Developer responsibility is here. So it is a responsibility of the developer to define a constructor under his class. And if he fails to do so, if he fails to do so, on behalf of the developer, compiler defines a constructor into that class. And till now, we are using that constructor only to create the instances of the classes we define. Just a minute, eh? And we call that as read it, all of you. Point clear. So till now you are creating the instance by using the implicit constructor. So how many classes you define till now? Wrong answer. Till now means not in the Visual Studio. Till now, some 25-30 classes you define so many classes in Notepad also, na? In all those classes, there is an implicit constructor. In all those classes, we have an implicit constructor. Tell me what is the name of the first class you define? First. The name of the first class you defined is class first, remember? Unfortunately, the last class what I defined now is also first only. Just now, half an hour back, we defined it here. To differentiate, we'll see like this. What? From that class first, this course project dot first class. In all classes, there is an implicit constructor. Is my point clear? In all classes, there is an implicit constructor defined by the compiler. Who defined it? Compiler defined that constructor. I did not define. Compiler defined the particular constructor for me. And with the help of that implicit constructor only, the instance creations are happening. For example, all of you write the code like this. Public, simply class test. Okay, this is class defined. Is it a class defined? And class after compilation. And this is how your class will be after compilation, guys, all of you. This is how your class will be after compilation. How do you know? Class test. In this class, there will be an implicit constructor. How do you know? Public. And this is the implicit constructor. That is the implicit constructor. What is the name of the constructor? Same name of the class. Same name of the class. What's your class name? Test. That's all the test. And I said you it's a method. Let's say braces also came. It is a special method. So braces also comes there. Non-value returning. I said it is non-value returning. Because it is non-value returning means you should write void na. Yes or not. We did not write void here. Why? No need. Why you know? Method has two options. Value returning, non-value returning. How do you say it is non-value returning? Void. How do you say it is value returning? By specifying a type name. But constructor has two options or one option? One option. What is that? Then why to tell again, yeah? Why to tell again? No need to tell. See, you're staying in a hostel. In the morning, you're served with breakfast in your hostel. Okay? Suppose you went to a restaurant to have a breakfast. You went to a restaurant to have breakfast. And variety of foods are there. So many items will be there. Can you go sit there and ask him, get me the breakfast? Can you go sit them and ask him to get me the breakfast? Arey, what will he bring you here? Get me the breakfast. Miss, will you put all in one plate and get you? What you want, you should tell. You want an idli or a dosa or something, you should tell clearly. Get me so and so. Yes or not? Because multiple options are there. Now in your hostel, you're sitting on the dining table and you're asking your warden to get me the breakfast. You're required to tell him, get me so and so breakfast. Are you served with a variety of foods every day? Only one only, na? Then why to tell him, get me so and so breakfast, get me breakfast will be enough. But you cannot go to a restaurant and say, get me a breakfast. Got the point? Okay. So here also the multiple options are there now. How many options? One option. That is why you don't even require to write void there. So looking at this tomorrow, anyone will understand what is it. This is a constructor method. This is a constructor method because the class name both will match. And also it will be a non-valuating. So nothing will be there. Void or something will not be there. Okay. By looking at this only we can recognize it. This is not a normal method. This is a constructor method. Okay. So like this is how it defines. Suppose at the time of writing the code, guys, if I declare here int x will be string s. These are three fields now. Yes or not? And do you remember, guys, every field has a default value. Variables doesn't have a default value, but field will have a default value. Remember how the default value comes to a field? Is it a magic show without me assigning a value, automatically value coming there now? Did you get my point? It's not a magic show now. Someone has to assign the value. Yeah, without assigning a value cannot come there. And do you know how is it initialized? This is how it is initialized. The implicit constructor which is defined for you in the code will initialize all your fields. Who will initialize? The implicit constructor defined by the compiler is initializing all your fields now. And already on the first point I said you, read this one. Which is responsible for initializing the fields of a class. Are you clear? What is the job of it? Initialize the fields of a class, and now you say it initialized. Understood all of you? And do you remember, someone asked this particular question, I said I'll tell you later, what is it? Why a variable doesn't have a default value, sir? Why a field will, how a field will have a default value? Field will have a default value, but variable doesn't have a default value. Variables must be initialized, correct or not? Why, sir? Why? Because, tell me, what is the scope of a field? Global means throughout the class, what is the scope of a variable? Within the block. Now you all of you observe it. Here I am writing one method here, static void main is a method. Here I declared int y. It's wrong. You need to initialize it. Why? Because is y accessible out of the main? Come on. Then how can the constructor initialize it? You are only telling now y is not accessible out of the main now. Then can the constructor initialize it? Without accessing, is constructor capable of initializing it? No, that's what is it telling you? I can't initialize, you only do. I can't do, you only do. But when you come to here, is constructor accessible? Can the constructor access it? Yes. So that's a constructor will initialized. Understood now? That is why variable will not have a default value, but field will have a default value because fields are accessible to you under the constructor. So constructor can initialize them, but variables are never accessible out of the block. So constructor cannot access them or initialize them. That is why field will have default value and variable will not have a default value. Am I clear? Someone already asked this question. I don't remember. For them, this answer. So understood about constructor? Yes or not? So every class will contain a constructor or not? Implicitly defined. Implicitly defined. If you want, you can define your own constructors. If you want, you can define your own constructors. So now the question, how to define and why to define? How to define? Same here, we understand. We have it here. And why to define? That is an important question. Because why to define, sir? Already you have a constructor. Why should I define again? So these are the two things what we just require to understand. What are the two things? How to define Why to define? I'll teach in the next class all the two things. Okay, let's stop here. We'll meet tomorrow.